Hey, y'all, and welcome to Marriage Minutes at its Pace. Today, we're going to talk about wounds. And so I bring this topic up. I was watching the Cam Newton, Jason Wilson interview, phenomenal interview. Jason Wilson is uh, one of my pillars that I listen to him and I just appreciate where he is in his walk with the Lord. But the interview was awesome, and they were interacting, going back and forth. And he said something along the lines of a mother wound. And so most of the time we hear about daddy voids and and things of that nature with young ladies and their fathers, but that happened probably one of the few times I've heard somebody say mother wound. And it really struck a chord in me. And I was sitting there thinking, I have a mother wound. And my mother wound is love language. And the language that my mom expressed her love was not the language, I'm probably saying this wrong, was not, I didn't receive it well. And so maybe she didn't know my love language. I'm sure Gary Chapman wasn't writing back in the day. But we just missed each other. Now, my mom loved me. I know that. She provided for me and took care of me and did everything she could. But that part of the interaction uh, was lacking, so to speak. And we had this conversation uh, on one of our We Fit topics, and it just kind of came up in terms of intimacy and talking about that mother wound. And so, but it was really interesting. I'm looking into it a little bit more, trying to understand the dynamics of my relationship with my mother and which mark uh, does that affect, if that makes sense.
So, to just kind of massage that a little bit more, a mother wound or a father wound is really defined as um, a a sore or an injury that you received from your parent because of something they did or did not do. And so when Mark talks about love languages and things of that nature, Mark's love language, primary love language, at least last time we took the test, was words of affirmation. And it's funny because I do not major in that, and I should, but Mark is really affirmed or really feels love when he is appreciated through words. And so when he was talking about his mom was a doer. His mom was a ride or die. She would financially support you. She would physically support you, but she was not careful with her words. How about that? She said what she wanted to say, how she wanted to say it, and when she wanted to say it. All kind of with this calm tone, but it could cut. And so I think that as a result of that, that was the dynamic that Mark was talking about. And I thought it was so interesting too, because then he ended up marrying somebody that was very much kind of presents the way his mom does. And so I really want to be more and more intentional, especially now that we are empty nesters. I really don't have an excuse. I didn't have one then, but I really don't have an excuse now. So I think that that was brave of him to have that connection that, wow, I may have done some things or been some certain ways in my life, been certain ways in my life because of something that I missed from my mom.
Yeah, and to wrap this all up, I think one of the other things too, as I think about my young self, was physical touch, just
Mm.
loving, engaging, and don't do that. And like a grandmother would hug uh, and hug their son or their grandchild, nurturing in that sense. And so that probably was a love language that was needed when I was going through some things, trying to find your way. But definitely, I'm going to engage and start thinking about this. I know one of the things that I tend to do now is find those old pictures of myself so that I can connect with those different versions of myself, because sometimes we compartmentalize ourselves and we kind of just put things off to the side and not really fully understand in totality who we are. I am that 5-year-old Mark. I am that 12-year-old Mark. I am that 17-year-old Mark. All
I just liked him more.
she liked the 17-year-old Mark. But what I'm saying is every age that I have been is who I am. And so I can't not focus on certain years of my life because either they were painful or not. And one of the other things, my mom raised six brothers. And so it kind of gave me some more insight, maybe why I am the way I am, because I was like the seventh brother. But anyway, we can go on and on. But definitely take some time, think about mother wounds, father voids, daddy voids. Don't run from them because God is going to extract that pain out so that you could be healed.
I feel like too, we need to understand and say that you have to, it's self-awareness that Mark is talking about, but it also, you have to come to a realization that our parents did the best that, and Mark has said that a million times. They did the best that they could. My parents have done the best that they could in raising me. It doesn't make them less than. It
Mhm.
just shows us um, how God wants to show up in those places where we're lacking. So it wasn't ever their full responsibility. In fact, I believe that God would set us up sometimes to need to depend on Him in
Mhm.
those areas that our parents maybe were not able to show up for us. Because
That's
nobody in this world can be everything for us.
that's good.
And He is always trying to get us to look upward.
So be well and be blessed.